What's up? Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. Appreciate everybody for tuning in here on a Friday. Normally we go live on Mondays and Thursdays, but with the NBA draft going on the past couple of days, I had to help out with that. So pushed our Thursday show back a day, but we're ready to rock and roll. Producer Cullen on the ones and twos. We got a lot to talk about today, including some wild PFF, Caleb Williams ceiling floor distinction. So we'll get to that and some other stuff. But let the audience filter in a little bit here. Got 120 people watching. Shout out to all of you. Shout out your city. Cullen, you got any big weekend plans?
Nothing too crazy. Probably going to go see the new F1 movie with Brad Pitt. But other than that, just kind of relaxing. I also kind of helped out with our NBA draft coverage this week. So, yeah, I'm ready to kind of just load up again for NBA free agency next week, which I'm sure me and you at some degree will probably help out with. But
probably be involved in some way or the other. What is the movie about, by the way?
It's fictional. So it's basically about Brad Pitt.
Like a guy's journey in the F1 world, basically?
He basically, like, the story premise is like he was in F1, then he was out. 30 years later, he decides to come back in one final ride to
like
prove
50
that he's
years old or something?
Exactly. Like, he's got gray hair and everything, and he's got this young teammate up-and-comer. It's like a whole thing. But, yeah, a little fictional F1 tale. So
what's it called?
It's literally just F1 the movie.
F1 the movie. Let's see what old IMDb is telling us. They're giving it a 7.9 out of 10. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's go Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah. I will say it's one of those movies, from what I've heard from critics and stuff, you just enjoy. You're not trying to look for, like, those people that are really, like, detail-oriented and very...
84%, and then, I don't know, is popcorn meter, is that like fans?
I'm guessing.
Is tomato meter 84, popcorn meter 97, so pretty good reviews, it looks like.
Not too bad.
All right.
But yeah.
Well, enjoy that. That'll be fun.
Should be fun. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to play some golf for the first time in a while tomorrow. I haven't been out. Dude, it's been like 2 years, so I'm actually kind of nervous. But it'll be a good time playing with one of my college buddies. Then actually one of Hannah's friends. She played golf in college, and she's playing in this like some qualifier tournament. She's trying to get back into competitive golf, like not LPGA, but just I don't know what like the minor leagues are of
the
like
amateur ranks probably.
Yeah, but like she just kind of wants to see if she can compete. It's been a few years, so she's going to play with us as well. But yeah, it'll be fun. Haven't played in a couple years, so need to hit the range before. So hopefully I can get out there early enough to hit a few balls. But that's my plans, and then Sunday is just straight up chilling. You going tomorrow to the movies tonight?
We'll see. Probably tomorrow, more than likely. But yeah, nothing. Right. Just a little relaxing. Hey, Bears fans, how are we feeling about us being live on a Friday, by the way?
Yeah, a little Friday special here. Like I said, we usually do Thursdays, but, this has a nice ring to it. I don't hate it. Yeah. I don't hate it. We got a super chat coming in from Cornelius. We need another edge rusher. Yes, we do. I agree. The Bears, I've said that for a couple months now. I think that's the biggest need. I could see something happening closer to training camp or during training camp, but you rarely see signings late June, early July because this is kind of the dead time. GMs, coaches, they're on vacation. They're taking a couple weeks off here, so we'll see. We'll keep up to tabs with everything going on, but for now, not much movement. And then Hunter Young had a super chat.
Yeah, he says, as I'm guessing a question for you, he says, are you hyped up as a Mavs fan in spite of Luka?
I'm in a weird place with the Mavs. I mean, they're still my team, but I don't know. I mean, look, Flag should be really good. Even now, like, Nico still just says stupid shit. It's like, if I could advise Nico, I would be like, just don't talk anymore. Like, just don't talk. Just run the team. Do not talk. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, the deal I kind of publicly made to myself was I would not watch the rest of last season. I didn't. The only minutes I watched were Luka's return. I watched about half of that game when the Lakers came to Dallas. And then I would reevaluate before next season. So I would guess I'll probably kind of ease back into it next year, but probably will not be full force yet by next season. That would be my guess. And quite frankly, even before the Luka trade, like I wasn't watching every Mavs game. It's just when you have a kid and you got stuff going on, I'm not sitting at home watching 70 out of 82. Like I'd watch here and there, and obviously closer to the playoffs you ramp up. But so maybe I get back to something like that. Well, we'll see. They should be good though. I mean, once Kyrie's back and healthy, are they? You could argue they're third in the West. I mean, after OKC and Houston, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, they're up there.
Depends how big is Flag's impact as a rookie.
Fully healthy, again, we'll see. I mean, they'll be kind of in the mix, but I mean,
they're probably hovering in the play-in before Kyrie comes back. That would be my guess.
Yeah, because I mean, a fully healthy starting lineup could be any version of Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, Flag, Anthony Davis, Lively, or maybe throw PJ Washington. You could throw.
It sounds like they might play Flag at the 2 and just go with the uber big lineup, which I don't know if that works long term, but my theory is one of Lively or Washington is going to get traded at some point.
I would expect it more than likely to be Washington, but
yeah.
Well, you never know.
If they trade Lively, it would be they're concerned with the injuries. He's had a couple injuries in his
I feel like it's too early to give up on Lively.
Oh, I'm a Lively guy, but they just paid Gafford. Man, that's still a tradable contract, Gafford's, but yeah, we'll see. There's enough Mavs talk for the day. Okay, who's going to have the better career? Because PFF, they rage baited us, and we fell for it, and I'm doing a full segment on it. The ceiling and the floor of Caleb Williams, and Jordan Love was mentioned in there. So who do you guys think has the better career, Caleb or Jordan Love? And look, obviously we're biased. I know a lot of you guys are going to vote Caleb, rightfully so. When we get to the segment, I'm not even saying Jordan Love's bad. I actually think he's pretty good. I think last year was a little underwhelming, especially if you're a Packers fan and how much they paid him. But if he ended up being a peak Jordan Love, that wouldn't be a bad outcome, but for that to be the best case scenario, current version of Jordan Love, that's a pretty low ceiling in my opinion for a guy 1 year into his career as the number 1 pick.
Listen, we live in a world where AI is a prevalent thing, and you probably used it to write that article. And look, it's just, at the end of the day, that's lazy journalism, and you don't get that here at Chat Sports. I mean, we mean everything we say. We put in the content, the hard work, whereas PFF, clearly they don't. I mean, it's just like I want to, try to be the most open-minded when it comes to outside perspectives and thinking and everything, but this is just, this guy just, because again, we'll get into it more when we actually get to the segment, but the guy just doesn't have a lot of credible evidence to back up his claim. Let's put it that way.
I just asked ChatGPT, what is a player ceiling and a player floor for Caleb Williams? Just because, hey, you mentioned AI. They put 2 ceiling comps in there. No shocker, Mahomes. That's probably just based on what people were saying. I wouldn't even say that, by the way. The other one they mentioned is Rodgers. I actually think his play style is more like Rodgers, by the way. I mean, he's got a little bit of both of them in there. And then the floor, this is actually interesting. This is a little bit more acceptable. Earlier career Baker Mayfield, so inconsistent Cleveland Baker.
Interesting.
Floor, if that's the worst case scenario, because that's kind of how he played last year, right? Where the highs were there, the lows were there.
Yeah.
As a worst case, Zach Wilson, I think he's already surpassed that.
Yes.
He's already better than Zach Wilson.
Yes.
Is his floor?
The moment he stepped on stage when he got drafted, he was better than Zach Wilson.
Yeah. Somehow the floor PFF put out there is lower than all of that. We'll get to that later, but it struck a nerve. I will say that. So stay tuned. That's going to be coming up toward the end of the show. We have a couple stories to hit before then. We'll take your questions as well. But it's I got defaulted. They drew me off sides.
I mean, Harry was, again, we said.
It's not even just the Caleb one, by the way. They did it for all the first-round picks from last year, the second-year guys. I don't know if I like any of them, if I'm being completely honest. So we'll get to it all. I don't want to tease or burn all the what's the word I'm looking for? Burn all the takes here, but we will get to it. All right, hit the like button. We got a lot to get to today here on this show and in the Chat Sports office. That's why we're live at 3 instead of 4, trying to get to some other stuff before Cullen and I go home today as well. So appreciate all 163 of you guys for being here. Oz, I'm not saying Jordan Love is bad. I'm just saying that's not best case scenario. I think it's a little rich. But and I also, do you think they're that similar, their games? There's some overlap, but like
there's some. Love to me doesn't have the escapability horizontally, like left to right, like Caleb does. But in terms of like the arm angle throwing, like Love's got a little bit of that where he can drop the shoulder.
I don't know if he has quite the like take a snap and throw a bubble sidearm and stuff like that. Throw a sidearm, but regardless, like they both have arm talent. Like I do agree with that, but I don't think he can. First of all, whether he can or not, I think he is more. He wants to stay in the pocket more. Caleb is looking to get out of an improviser.
Caleb's more of an improviser. Jordan Love's kind of more of like a freelancing pocket. Like he can move if he wants to, but that's not where he feels comfortable.
He's not, and he's also not nearly as twitchy of an athlete. He's a good athlete. He can throw on the move, but when he rolls left, like Caleb almost gets more velocity on the move than normal, which is weird. I mean, he has a cannon normal too. Whereas Love, when he just sits back there and he pushes off that back foot and drives the ball, it's a whip.
Yeah.
Whereas he can throw on the move, but he would prefer not to do that. So.
No, I 100% agree.
Anyway, we'll get to it. It's all interesting, but we have a couple news and rumor stories I want to get to first, so we'll hit that off the top. We will take your questions as well, so use #Bears or Super Chat to get your questions answered on the show. Lighter audience today since it is a Friday, so if you have questions, load them in there now. That way Colin can start stashing those and we can get them answered. If you Super Chat, it's a guarantee to get on the show. So please light up the chat with #Bears or by Super Chatting, and we will get to the Pro Football Focus Caleb Williams discussion that has already kind of been teased here. But
I was about to say, that's called a tease in the business.
Yeah, it's a tease with a Z in the business. All right. He's Colin. I'm Harrison. We got all that and more coming up here on Chicago Bears Now. On today's episode of Chicago Bears Now, ESPN has linked the Bears to a free agent that we have not discussed here on this show. We'll get to that here in a second. Also, why we should not be overlooking Olamide Zaccheaus. Bill Barnwell wrote an interesting piece for ESPN as well. So a couple stories I want to dive into here on today's show. Also, I checked my Instagram, and we're 3 followers away from 9,000 followers on IG. At HGramNFL. 3 away. Can we get there right now? That would be awesome. We're actually filming this live, so I'd love to pull out my phone after this segment and think that we got there. I'll even have Colin put the link in the live chat when he gets a second. But at HGramNFL on Instagram, more Bears content, more NFL discussion. DMs are open. Give me a follow. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Okay. Let's get to the first story on today's show. ESPN proposes that the Bears sign linebacker Jalen Reeves-Maybin, who I'm familiar with, but I was like, really? That's the move that they're linking the Bears to? They had one move every team should make between now and training camp. Aaron Schatz had this to say. He said, linebacker depth is a bit of a problem for the Bears right now. That's true. They don't need a starter because they have TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmunds, but former Lion Reeves-Maybin would be a good depth addition. He also is a big help on special teams, having made the Pro Bowl for special teams just 2 seasons ago. He has played in 114 games in his career. He's only started 14. What does that tell you? He's a special teamer. I mean, these numbers kind of suggest that as well. He's never, I think he has either 1 or 0 sacks in his career. He's never had an interception. So most of his hay has been on special teams. I think 10 of those 14 starts, by the way, were in 1 season. So he's never really been viewed as like an every down backer or even a part-time backer. He's a backup who plays primarily on special teams. And I look at this and I'm like, is that what the Bears need? If anything, that part of the depth is actually covered off because Eamon Ogbongbemiga is a good special teams player. He's not that good of a linebacker, though. So he's a special teamer first, linebacker second, kind of like Travis Homer on offense. He's a special teamer first, running back second. Noah Sewell, the best things he's done through 2 seasons has been on special teams. Ruben Hippolyte, we don't really know in either regard of the game, but he profiles to be his floor a good special teamer with his athletic profile, ceiling a future starter at linebacker. You're hoping he can be your third linebacker this year. But if anything, if you're going to add a linebacker, I think you need to add somebody that has started in the NFL. Because if TJ or Tremaine does go down, there's a real question that you don't have someone that you feel comfortable stepping in and playing at a solid level. Now, we're hoping Hippolyte's that guy. I think the Bears feel good about where he's at, but he is a 4th-round rookie. I would rather go with the guy who, 2 or 3 years ago was still at his peak as a full-time starter. Maybe he's trended down the last couple of years, and you sign him if you don't feel good about your other linebackers being your third guy to be like, hey, you're our third linebacker in base downs, and you're our top backup when TJ and Tremaine go down, so you could be kind of that third starter, even though you're more of like a part-time starter. Kind of what Jack Sanborn's been. Again, if Hippolyte's that, awesome. But to me, if you need to add a linebacker, it's that. It's not a special teamer. You have multiple good special teamers at the linebacker position. Sewell can do it. Eamon Ogbongbemiga, that's literally his role. Hippolyte projects to be good on special teams. So I don't really understand this path whatsoever. I'm not saying it would be a bad signing, but I'm not really sure what role it serves. The Bears were 5th in special teams DVOA last year and have multiple linebackers that can play on special teams. So that would not really be what I would be looking for at the linebacker spot if I was Chicago. Now, name a free agent that you guys believe the Bears should go out and sign. Drop a name in the comments, whether it's Jadeveon Clowney or Zadarius Smith or a player at a different position. I know we've all been thinking about edge rushers, but give us your thoughts. Got to be honest, Jalen Reeves-Maybin didn't really crack the top of my list. Okay, 4th of July, we are almost there. You're going to get the grill out. You're going to go take a dip in the pool. You're going to go to a fireworks show. Represent the Chicago Bears with our Bears 4th of July gear line here. Chatsports.com/Bears4th. You can fly that flag around as well. It's all available at that link, plus some other items and gear as well. Chatsports.com/Bears4th. Link is in the comments section and description of this video. Get shopping today before the 4th of July comes and passes. Okay. Is Olamide Zaccheaus a luxury player? Bill Barnwell, who's an excellent writer for ESPN, did kind of an article just taking a look at different teams' luxury players. And with Zaccheaus being kind of penciled in as that 4th receiver for the Bears, that was who he pointed to for Chicago. Here's what he had to say. While Zaccheaus might have been something closer to the 2nd or 3rd wide receiver for the Commanders last season, he is expected to slot in behind DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, and rookie 2nd-round pick Luther Burden III in Chicago. Don't be surprised if Zaccheaus is on the field more often than you would expect. Coaches love him. Zaccheaus is undersized at 5'8", 193 pounds, but he has still carved out a role in the NFL by being an aggressive and willing blocker. And you read that and you watch kind of his past years, and despite being small, he's a willing blocker. I immediately go to Ben Johnson and what he has said multiple times this offseason. No block, no rock. What does that mean? If you don't block consistently, if you're not willing to do it, that's going to cost you playing time. If you do block, if you do some of the dirty work, you're going to get opportunities regardless of your status on the team. Olamide Zaccheaus has stuck around in the NFL not because he's some special talent or player, but because he's willing to do the little things. And that is exactly what Barnwell is talking about. It's why in 3 of the past 4 years, he's been pretty steady and pretty reliable. Oh, and by the way, what stands out on this graphic? He hasn't missed a single game. He's pretty durable too. So a willing blocker at 190 pounds, 5'8", willing to be physical, and he's durable, that's pretty appealing to me. Well, it's not just his blocking ability. Barnwell had this to say as well, saying Zaccheaus averaged a respectable 1.9 yards per route run last season, just ahead of DK Metcalf and Jordan Addison. They're pretty good at football. And while Zaccheaus is never going to command that sort of target share, the 27-year-old is one of the league's most effective wideouts without the ball in his hand. So what does that mean, 1.9 yards per route run? That means for every single route he ran the entire season, he gained 1.9 yards. Well, obviously, you don't get the ball every time you run a route. In fact, you might get the ball 1 out of 8 routes run, 10 routes run, whatever. That tells me he gets open a lot, and when given the opportunity, he makes things happen. So you're telling me The guy's a willing blocker. He's an effective route runner. He's good after the catch. He gets open consistently. Like, that sounds like a Ben Johnson receiver. What has he talked about? Guys who are willing to block, guys who can play in the slot, guys who can give us yak. He has mentioned that several times. We need guys who can make explosive plays after the catch. Saw Zaccheaus do that all the time last year. He had a play against the Eagles late in the year when they upset Philadelphia where he caught I want to say it was like a 10-yard pass, and he kind of zigzagged for like a 60-yard touchdown. So the coach likes all the attributes. They brought him in for cheap. I think this he's a veteran now. I think he's going to have a role on this team. And oh, by the way, no one loves Luther Burden III more than me. I love that draft pick, and I still do. But let's face it, the guy has not practiced. He was out there for a day and a half of rookie minicamp, missed all of OTAs, and he's a rookie. So there's already a learning curve as a rookie. He's missed a lot of valuable reps during the spring and early summertime. Zaccheaus has been out there. He's been making plays. He's kind of a coach's dream where you don't have to pay him that much, and all he does is bring his lunch pail to work and do all the dirty stuff and is willing to accept his role. Ideally, he is your fourth wide receiver. But if you told me today, hey, Harrison, he's actually going to get more opportunities than Luther Burden, especially earlier in the year, I could believe that. I'm not rooting for that, but would it shock you? Would it shock me? When they signed him, what did I say? I said he is a serviceable to good third wide receiver, and he's one of the best fourth receivers in the league. In a perfect world, he'll be the latter, the best fourth receiver in the league. But if he has to step in and be that third guy, he can hold down the fort. Or if a guy gets injured, he can step in and you can lean on this guy to be a solid player. So I'm excited about it. I think the more and more I've read about this guy and how teams are a big fan of him, and regardless of system or coach or quarterback, he seems to be pretty productive. So definitely excited that he is a Chicago Bear. Maybe the most under-talked about move of the offseason for the Bears. Certainly not the sexy headline, but one that should be productive. Who will be wide receiver 3? Type LB for Luther Burden III or OZ for Olamide Zaccheaus. We want it to be Luther. I think it'll be Luther, but it's not a given. They're not just going to give him that job. I can promise you that. So we'll see how it ends up playing out. All right, guys, appreciate you for tuning in to the show. Remember, let's get 9,000 followers on Instagram. I would greatly appreciate it. The more we grow over there, the more content we can do on that platform as well. It's at HGramNFL. Bear down. All righty.
Yeah, why don't you give it a check?
Let's see.
I did put the link in the chat, so hopefully y'all clicked it if y'all haven't already.
The old refresh here. 9,004. All right, fellas. Shout out to you.
Bang.
We're only 996 away from 10,000. If you all make like 4 burner accounts, we can get it done. All right. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat. 1 segment down, 2 to go. Coming up in 15 minutes, we will take a look at the PFF Caleb Williams disrespect. We will. I have some thoughts. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, I haven't let loose in a while. It might happen. We'll see. We'll see.
There's some good questions in here.
Got some good questions. Let's get a few more. Hashtag Bears or Super Chat. Marcus says it's not letting me pay for my Super Chat for some reason. I don't know, Marcus. You may have to put your card in there or Apple Pay. I'm not sure the exact setup, but you just hit that money sign and then it should have steps for you. But
yeah, we appreciate you chatting either way. You're just hanging out with us.
If you can't Super Chat, just throw a hashtag Bears in there. That's fine. We'll try to work you in.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
For sure. Yeah, just keep sending in those questions, guys. I see one from Mike Nintendo, Dennis the Chicago Kid. We got Ben Seaton. We've got Pepto, Forrest Gump. We got some people, but let's get everybody involved here. Again, with a lighter crowd today, this is your chance to get in on the mailbag if you hadn't, previously before. So again, just use hashtag Bears like you see on your screen, or Super Chat if you so gratefully can. And yeah, feel free. Feel free.
I'm watching this clip of Cooper Flagg giving Nico the side eye here.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
God.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
You got to wonder what's going through his mind, because obviously, he's seen what happened to Luka.
I think for the most part, he's excited and on board. Because, out of all the teams that could have won the lottery, they're easily the most equipped to, win. in the near future?
I
Who would have been a better situation?
I'm not trying to be that guy, but
Spurs.
Spurs.
They're
Yeah.
the only other one.
Yeah. San Antonio is
Sure.
pretty much, you could argue.
That's probably the only other one.
Yeah.
And I would actually argue if fully healthy in the short term. Now, long term, everyone would take the Spurs because of Wemby.
Yeah.
But he could have fallen to the Wizards. I'm blanking on teams. The
Hornets,
the Utah
the
Jazz.
That.
It could have been a lot worse.
Could have been.
But he's also not an idiot. Like, he followed that saga like we all did. So
yeah, just something to
just get Nico out of the way.
Just get him out of here.
Get him out of here. All right, I think we got enough questions.
Yep.
Hashtag Bears Super Chat. Take your questions for 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll talk a little Caleb Williams PFF because, I'm not very happy about that one. But mailbag first, so we'll get to that. Coming up next here on Chicago Bears Now. Declan's burner kicks off this Bears mailbag. Is that Declan Doyle's burner? Could Jonathan Taylor be a trade deadline target if the Colts are having a bad year? I think this is an interesting one because, people ask me about Jonathan Taylor sometimes, and I'm like, guys, they have a coach who's kind of on the hot seat. GM could be as well, especially with Jim Irsay passing. If they have a bad year, whoever's taking the reins of that ownership, they might just want to hit the reset button and go in a brand new direction. Well, trading Jonathan Taylor before the season doesn't help you win this year. But is there a world where the Colts are like 2-6 at the deadline? This QB situation, Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson, is just a disaster. And they say, you know what? Let's see what we can get for Jonathan Taylor. Can we get some premium picks or at least a premium pick? Obviously, there's been a lot of running back discussion when it comes to the Bears because, DeAndre Swift is a fine starter, but he's not, a top 10 guy. And then behind him, you have some intriguing guys, but some question marks as well. I do view Taylor as a potential midseason trade target. You think of a guy like Christian McCaffrey a few years ago who had been banged up with Carolina, then he got healthy and was playing well again, but the Panthers weren't any good, and the Panthers shipped him out to San Francisco. Could that be a trade that a team emulates for Jonathan Taylor? We'll take a look at that part of it in a second. But, if the Bears are 4-3, 5-3, having a good year, but that running game is inconsistent and a guy like Taylor frees up, could you take a big swing? This is still one of the premium backs in the NFL. I put him just right below, like, the premium guys. To me, the only backs for sure ahead of Jonathan Taylor are as follows. Saquon Barkley, fully healthy Christian McCaffrey because of his pass-catching ability, and I would still give Derrick Henry the nod. He's right there after that. Him, James Cook, who we've talked about on this show. Josh Jacobs is in that ballpark. I think they're all in that tier. There's 3, 4. I throw Bijan Robinson in there too, and a few. Maybe Ashton Genty gets in there. So he's somewhere between RB4 and RB7. He's a terrific player. He's not super dynamic as a pass catcher, but you wouldn't really need him to be. DeAndre Swift can be that guy if you were to bring in a guy like Jonathan Taylor. Now, you revisit the Christian McCaffrey trade because you wonder what it would cost. This is a lot. 2 day 2 picks, and a 4th and a 5th. 4 picks total for one. That's a lot of volume for any player, much less a running back. And 2 of those 4 picks being day 2 selections. I would not be doing that. I don't think Taylor's peak value is as good as Pete McCaffrey. I don't think it's a coincidence the 49ers kind of took off after they got McCaffrey. And B, even looking back at it, as good as McCaffrey's been, they got like 2 healthy years out of it, and he was hurt all of last year. So, had they won that Super Bowl, they wouldn't be regretting it. And I'm not saying they are, but it's a lot of picks to give up. It's kind of like Tyreek Hill and the Dolphins. Yeah, don't get me wrong, he's been awesome in Miami, but at what cost? 5 draft picks? That's the volume of picks is a lot. I would do more like if he's having a great year, could it be like a 2 and a 5? Even that, that's a healthy offer for a running back at his 5th, 6th year. So, the cost would matter, but I do think he's a name to monitor at the trade deadline. If the Colts are having a bad year, they could look to ship him out. What would you trade for Jonathan Taylor? Give me your offer down in the comments section of this video. I'm definitely not offering a first. I'm not offering 4 picks. I think I'd go like 2 draft picks, one of them a second or a third, and then a day 3 pick. That would probably be my best offer. Okay, Pepto, what team has a brighter future, the Bears or the Packers? It's a good question. Both have a lot of young pieces. I think it really is simple. It comes down to which quarterback do you think is going to be better long term, because I think there's enough things to like about both teams, both rosters, both coaching staffs. Now, obviously, you'd have to give LaFleur the edge because he's been a head coach for a few years. This has been Johnson's first. But if Johnson at least becomes, one of the better coaches in the league as an offensive guy, Dennis Allen running the defense, you're always going to feel at least pretty good about that side. I think I would still take the swing on Caleb over Jordan long term. That's just my opinion. Could that be wrong? Absolutely. I think the jury's still out on both these guys, but I think I would lean Bears. Try not to be too biased Homer Bears guy, but history would tell us Packers. But if Ben Johnson's the truth and Caleb Williams is good, there's really no reason for this team to not be good for a while. Mike Nintendo Master, who is your dark horse to make the roster? We talked about some undrafted free agents. Major Burns at safety, I think, is a guy to watch. One of those UDFA defensive ends like Xavier Carlton or Jeremy Robinson, they're just thin at that position, so one of those guys could make a push. Could one of the UDFA safeties like Tysheem Johnson, I mentioned Major Burns already. A couple receivers that are interesting, Jade Walker, J.P. Richardson. Richardson has punt return ability. Could he beat out like a Devin Duvernay for that final spot? That could be on the table as well. Ian Wheeler, could he have a strong training camp in preseason? He was on that track last year at running back before he popped his ACL. So I think there's, 4 to 6 guys right there that I would keep an eye on. Subscribe to Bears Now because it is 100% free. We have a family-like environment here. We welcome all Bears fans. Shout out to the real ones. Let's get to 125,000 subscribers. We're getting closer and closer to training camp. William Bomer, I still think Von Miller has one more good year in him. I think as a rotation speed rusher, he can still be effective. He had 6 sacks last year and limited snaps with the Bills. If you're asking him to consistently stop the run and to play a heavy load of snaps, probably a bad move, but he overlapped with Dennis Allen. I think they drafted him when he was in Denver for a year back in 2011, so there's some familiarity there. He's not built like a typical DA defensive end. He's 6'3", 245, 250. Dennis Allen typically likes those like 6'5", 6'6" behemoths like Dayo Odengbo, so who knows? If it's a couple $1 million, I'd be on board. There's other defensive ends I like better that are available, but if you told me they ended up with Von Miller, I wouldn't say no. Dennis, do you think the Hendrickson situation can linger to the trade deadline and give teams like the Bears more leverage, giving up less trade assets to acquire him? I mean, it's possible, certainly. He seems pretty steadfast in not playing on the current deal. I think that would be a mistake by Cincinnati. If you can't get a deal done before week 1, I think you trade him. Because I think we saw last year with a lesser player but a good player in Hassan Reddick that if you wait until the season and he still doesn't show up, you're just not going to get the value. And we saw that be the case. So the Jets just had to kind of work something out, and he didn't play well. So, I think there's a resolution one way or the other. I'll say by week 2, because could it be a Chris Jones situation from a couple years ago where he skips the opener and then the Chiefs are like, oh, we really need this guy, and they just pay him? Maybe he skips the opener and the defense gets shredded and the Bengals bend the knee and he shows up week 2. That could happen, but I'd be shocked if it's like, oh, he hasn't played and it's week 6, and then they try to trade him. That's poorly handling that situation for the Bengals because the value just goes down. It's like, I don't know how he's going to show up if it's middle of the season. Okay, FGB t-shirts are available at chatsports.com/FGB. If you hate the Packers, get yourself an FGB t-shirt today. Link is right there, chatsports.com/FGB. Check the comments and description to click and shop today. All right, we got Edward or Eduardo, and then we'll get to this super chat here. Where or would you trade Roschon Johnson in a 6th for Najee Harris? Can it be one or the other? Because to me, like if you're the Chargers and you're trading Najee, like what's your leverage? You just signed him. Like I think you'd be looking at like a pick swap. I would do like a 1-for-1. I'd trade Roschon for Najee. I think Najee's a clear upgrade. Maybe Roschon in a pick swap. Like here's Roschon in a 6th, give me a 7th back or something like that. I think I could sign up for that. This wouldn't be a ton to lose, but I just think if the Chargers are willing to trade Najee Harris for an offer like that, they're basically telling you he doesn't factor into their plans. Appreciate the super chat from Hypergenesis. Do you think Kevin Byard gets an extension if he has a good year, or Brisker if he has an average year? Well, define average. Like, to me with Brisker, unless his play declines, I don't think his play will decline. I think he'll be good. It's all about health. Like, if he plays 14, 15 games or more, I'd give him for sure a 1-year deal, maybe a 2 with an opt-out after the first, where it's, he gets, $2 million extra guaranteed for the second year, just kind of throw him a bone. I don't know if Brisker could do anything where you'd give him a 3+ year deal. I just that concussion thing is a concern. Byard, I think he said it recently. He's like, I'm year to year at this point. If he has a good year, bring him back on a 1-year deal. I don't think he's a guy signing more than 1-year deals at this point. But if he plays like he did last year, again, let's just say he has the exact same year, which is what I would call above average safety play. 1 year, $5 million for 2026. Cool. Like that's great for everybody involved. That's a win for him. He doesn't have to move. It's a win for the Bears. Solid starter. Brisker's all about health. That's really all it is. Follow me on Twitter. It's at HGramNFL. Same on Instagram. If we didn't get your question answered, we can get them answered over on social media at HGramNFL. Appreciate you guys for loading up the questions, and we'll continue to get those answered over on social media. Alrighty.
Keep hitting that subscribe button. And also, what would you trade for Jonathan Taylor if you ran the Bears?
In a scenario where the Bears were like 5-3 and Caleb was playing well and the defense is solid, but the run game's hit and miss, I think I'd do like a 2 and a 5. If Taylor's running like he has been, right? Like if there's no decline. Because I think he's got 2 years left on his deal.
That sounds about right.
Because he signed a 3 for $42 a couple years ago when he had 1 year left, I think. Yeah, he's owed his cap hits 15.3 this year, 15.5 next year. So he's got 2 for $30 left, 2 for $31. You take on half that number for this year, $6-7 million, $15 for next year. If he plays well, you probably give him like a 2-year deal. Like if he brought in and played really well, you'd probably extend him to like a 2 or 3 year deal because he'd have 1 year left on his contract. For probably similar amount. I mean, it's like 3 for $45 or something like that. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'd give a 1 for him. He's not much of a pass catcher, but to me, he's a pretty clear top 5, just pure runner. I mean, he had almost 1,500 yards last year, Colin, and they couldn't complete the forward pass.
No, they couldn't.
I mean, against the Bears, Richardson is throwing the ball into the crowd on out routes, and he still had like a $130.
Yep.
So
he's really talented.
Now, I'm a big JT guy. I think he's really good.
Most desperate situation that you could think of, what would be the most that you would give up for JT? Like, say, you start off hot and
the only way I'd give up a 1 is if I'm getting a pick back.
Okay.
Like if he's having an unreal year and you feel like he's the difference in potentially winning a Super Bowl in the next couple of years, okay, I'll give you a 1 for Taylor and like a 3 or a 4 back. Like you got to be thinking that 1 is going to be in the mid-late 20s.
Yep.
Like not only
basically a second.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And I'm not giving up 4 picks. It's just
not giving up the house.
Just a lot.
If he provided more out of the backfield as a pass catcher, maybe.
Yeah, and I think that's why McCaffrey went for that, because not only is he going to rush for 1,200 plus, he's going to catch 80 plus balls.
Yeah.
Taylor might catch 40 or 50, but
right.
You you probably wouldn't even ask him to do that because you would still have Swift. Now, if they would take Swift back in a deal, maybe it's like a third in Swift or something like that. I don't know. I do think, though, do you agree that they'd be silly to trade him before the year? They have to win.
For the Colts?
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
I think you'd only move him if it's just going poorly and you're like, well, let's get something for our best player.
I still, I don't know what the percentage is, but there's still a belief in me that Richardson starts week 1 because they're just like, we have to see this out. We don't care.
If it's close in training camp, I bet he'd start week 1.
And so you would
As of today, that doesn't feel the case, but that could change.
But they've got 4 legitimate receivers now. I don't know if any of them's a 1. I like Michael Pittman, but he feels like more like a 2 to me. Tyler Warren, who they just drafted, he's a really nice tight end.
There's a lot of advanced metrics that suggest Downs is really good.
Yeah. No, but Josh, I like him.
The QB play has been so bad that it feels like they have a couple 2s and a couple 3s. Adonai Mitchell's talented.
Alec Pierce, I like.
I'm a big Pierce guy.
But yeah, it kind of just needs the quarterback to kind of come all together and then really to provide clarity. So who knows? Who knows? But yeah, I think JT, no matter what, if you're a Colts fan, you're trying to hold on to him at all costs.
At least, you're keeping him to start the year because you're trying to win. Bad division, coach GM potentially on the hot seat.
I think if you're Steichen, because if you have to go to Daniel Jones, you want Taylor in the backfield anyway to make Jones' life easier because you're trying to win no matter what.
Yeah.
So
it's only the scenario where it's just the season's off the rails and they have no chance of salvaging it.
Maybe Steichen gets fired or something and they have to trade Taylor.
Yeah. Who knows? All right, we got one more segment here, then we're getting out of here. PFF. I don't even know if the word's interesting, but they had an interesting article take on all the second-year quarterbacks, especially Caleb Williams, who is obviously the Bears quarterback. So we are going to get into that here next on the show, and then we'll wrap things up. If you have any super chats, final questions, get those in now. We'll get those answered before we sign off. It's time to dismantle, incinerate, take down this take from Pro Football Focus when it comes to this man, Bears quarterback Caleb Williams. That is coming up next here on Chicago Bears Now. But listen, the reason you subscribe to the channel is I'm going to give you my opinion on this team every single day. Some days you may like it, some days you may not. If you liked every single take I had, I probably wouldn't be bold enough. So hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications. We're bringing the heat here on Chicago Bears Now for free every single day. Now let's talk some ball. All right, on today's show, Pro Football Focus gave a ceiling and a floor for all of the second-year quarterbacks, including Caleb Williams, and all 6 first-rounders. They didn't do Spencer Rattler, but they did, Caleb, Jaden, Drake, Penix, McCarthy, and Bo Nix. And discuss their ceiling, their floor, et cetera. We're obviously going to focus on Caleb, but toward the end, we'll take a look at all their ceiling, floor comps, and there's some wild ones in there, I'll tell you that. Our good friend, I've actually never met him, John Costco of PFF, had this to say about our QB1, Caleb Williams. Williams entered the NFL with a tremendous amount of hype, only to disappoint as a rookie, especially when compared to the rest of the class. Williams' season was, at best, underwhelming. He flashed big play potential, incredible arm talent, but he struggled with accuracy and took on pressure and sacks too often. There's some truth in there, no doubt. Granted, top prospects who don't put it all together as rookies are still capable of turning things around. Jared Goff's one notable example, and Bryce Young appears to have turned a corner ahead of 2025. But struggling as badly as Williams did usually does not end well. Still, he has the talent and one of the best supporting casts in the NFL to turn it around to 2025. They also gave Caleb Williams a ceiling and a floor. The ceiling, Jordan Love. The floor, bust. And by the way, somehow he is the only quarterback among the 6 first-round picks from last year who gets a floor of bust. That includes J.J. McCarthy, who has yet to play. So that's interesting. I've got a lot of issues with a lot of this. Again, I said it in there. There's some truth in there. Yeah, he took too many sacks, even with the bad offensive line. The accuracy was hit and miss. No doubt about it. But I got to be honest, I'm sick and tired of acting like Caleb Williams had a garbage rookie season. It was an average to above average rookie season. Historically, it was probably way above average. Now, rookies come in and play a little better in modern day because the offenses tend to be a little bit easier than they were in the 1990s. But still, even if you added up every rookie quarterback ever, including number one overall picks, like at worst, I would say Caleb was average. Like it wasn't some historically bad season. So let's react to this and kind of just pick this apart a little bit because I hate to do it, but somebody's got to. Where is the mention of the coaching, right? And look, the great ones transcend certain coaching, no question, but even look at like Justin Herbert with the Chargers. Like we all agree, even the biggest Herbert doubters have him as a bona fide top 10 guy. He's lost a lot of games, and he's played bad in some big moments. And everybody's like, well, the coaching's been horrible. And I agree. He's had horrible coaching until he got Jim Harbaugh. Caleb Williams, though, you could argue, had the worst coaching situation we have ever seen. One of the worst. Matt Eberflus, who is a poor communicator, a defensive coordinator at best, and one of the most conservative mindsets of just don't turn the ball over. They did this with Justin Fields, who had issues of his own, and over time, it's been proven that he's probably not good enough to be a franchise guy, but the Bears didn't coach him well either. And then the Shane Waldron thing, not only was his coaching bad, but the Bears, to hire him, they were like, oh, this guy blew us away. Then you hear him at the podium, you're like, that guy blew you away? Really? He kind of sounds like someone who has no communication skills. The coaching was an embarrassment. Every Bears fan that watched this close, even if you're not sold on Caleb, and I'm not saying any of us should be sold on him, we can all agree that the coaching was a joke in 2024. So that's number one. Number two, the Goff and Bryce Young mention, and I'm not even Jared Goff's become a very good player. Bryce Young, there's this contingency that he's figured it out all of a sudden, and it's like, hang on, guys. Just because he's now played acceptable level, average level, after being maybe the worst rookie we've ever seen, like, I don't even get those comps. Look at their rookie numbers, and then we'll show Caleb's. Look at them. Jared Goff started 7 games, couldn't complete 55%. Didn't have 1,100 yards in 7 games. That's quick math. That's what, like 135, 140 yards per game? It's not like he's dual threat and he's running around getting yards that way. He's a statue. 5 touchdowns, 7 picks, QB rating of 63. Doesn't run the ball, obviously. Bryce Young, sub 60, 1-to-1 TD interception ratio, less than 2,900 yards, started 16 to 17 games. QB rating, 73. Ran around a little bit, but not a ton. And then came out to start last year and was so bad that Dave Canales had to bench him. And to his credit, played pretty well and now has earned a 3rd year. But this guy, John Costco, says, well, you've seen Goff and Young salvage things. First of all, let's see on Bryce Young. Second of all, Caleb Williams' rookie season was far better than Jared Goff or Bryce Young. Now, does that mean he's going to be better than Jared Goff? No, but those reference points don't even make sense. Completion percentage, much higher. Yards, much higher. Touchdowns, quadruple Jared Goff, and double Bryce Young. I get Goff played less games, but still had less interceptions than Goff and played 10 more games. QB rating, 25 points higher than Goff, 14 points higher than Bryce Young. And I'm acknowledging fully that Caleb had a lot of ups and downs. I'm not even sitting here acting like he lit it up. Jaden Daniels was much better. But to sit there and say, well, careers are mostly lost after a season like this, but there are exceptions like Bryce Young and Jared Goff. Hang on a second. He was far better, not slightly better, far better than Jared Goff and Bryce Young as a rookie. So if you're going to make some analogy of like, well, he struggled in this area, but you see a guy like insert quarterback who figured it out, and you pick 2 guys who in no area were anywhere close to what Caleb was as a rookie, it makes no sense whatsoever on that front of things. Support QB1. Get his jersey. Chatsports.com/Caleb jersey. They're only $100. Limited time only. Get Nike authentic Caleb Williams jerseys today. Chatsports.com/Caleb jersey. And then likely, lastly, Jordan Love is maybe horrible strong. It's a pretty bad comp. Are there overlaps in their games? Yes. But Jordan Love is a pocket passer who can move. Caleb Williams is someone who can play within the pocket, but that's still an area of growth. Like, I would flat out say Love is better in the pocket right now, but Caleb Williams is one of the truly elite improvisers. Even as a rookie, like, what's one thing? It's like, okay, he's pretty damn good at that. He's pretty good at improvising, escapability, making plays on the move. Can Jordan Love throw on the move? Absolutely. He doesn't really want to do that, though. Caleb's better than that than he is in the pocket. So I don't think their games are that similar. Now, they both have elite arms. It's not like there isn't an overlap on the pie chart. I'm not saying that. Like, it's not like he compared Caleb to Jared Goff, but play style is number one, not that similar. And number two, Jordan Love has started 2 seasons in the NFL. He was excellent in the second half of 2023. The raw numbers from that season feel awesome. You really break it down, it was the second half of that season that lofted things. He had 18 touchdowns to 1 pick the final 8 games. Otherwise, it was 14-10. Really good year that year. Last year, though, it banged up the knee in week 1, missed a game and a half, whatever, was a little nicked up a couple other times. He had a good season, not great. So are you saying that Jordan Love, who's been pretty good through 2 years as a starter, only 2 years as a starter, by the way, we forget that, that's the best Caleb can get? There's no possible scenario where he can be better. That's it? And don't get me wrong, if he plays like peak Jordan Love, that's still a good result, especially given the Bears' QB history. But I'm not going to sit here one season in and say his best case scenario is Jordan Love, who's been more good than bad, but certainly up and down through 2 seasons as a starter. More consistent than Caleb's 1 season, no doubt, but that's the best possible case scenario. When Jordan Love has had Matt LaFleur, when Jordan Love got to sit 3 years behind Aaron Rodgers, and when Caleb Williams in his 1 season had Matt Eberflus and Shane Waldron. I'm not going to concede that. That is absolutely crazy. It just makes no sense whatsoever. In fact, I would still bet, because I think his talent was that much better coming out of college, and he's played 1 year and Jordan Love's played 2, I would still bet that Caleb has a better career moving forward. I might be wrong. He could be bad. There's no question. I'm not acting like there's a world where this doesn't work out. Given the Bears' history, given that last year was inconsistent, that certainly could be on the table. But I am not going to concede that his best case scenario is current Jordan Love. Like, that is just not, that is not something that is even in the thought. Like, I'd put that more like best case scenario, worst case scenario. Middle scenario is like inconsistent Jordan Love. Like, okay, I could buy that. Best case scenario, though, like, wow, like, we're already punting on Caleb Williams, I guess. All right, CW for Caleb, JL for Jordan, better career. Time will tell. It could go either way, no question, but man, best case scenario, tough crowd over there at PFF. And then CHSN kind of made a graphic out of the PFF second-year comps. I mean, it's kind of some ridiculous ones here, right? We've broken down the Caleb one. And by the way, what do you notice about all 5 other ones that is not attached like it is to Caleb? No one else. There's no possible scenario the other 5 guys could bust. J.J. McCarthy, never taking a snap. No chance he could bust. In fact, his floor is Sam Darnold. Are we talking horrible Sam Darnold or last year? Because if his floor is last year's Sam Darnold, put him in the Hall of Fame. Because if he plays at that level for 15 years, that's a Hall of Famer. Sam Darnold had 35 touchdowns and 12 picks. You do that for 12 years, you're going to the Hall of Fame. Like, he was with top 5 QB in the NFL last year. Like, that's almost not even fair for JJ. If you're talking about last year version of Sam Darnold, Jaden Daniels, he'd be the one guy where you probably wouldn't say worst case is bust. It'd probably be worst case is like, I don't know, like, I'm trying to think of an underwhelming dual threat, but still had a decent career. Like, is worst case like much better Justin Fields or something like that? Sure. Jaden's pretty good, but it's also 1 year in. Drake May in half a season, there's no chance he can bust. Also, his best scenario is Trevor Lawrence. You want to talk about disrespectful? I would take him over Trevor right now, I think. Like, I ranked him higher than Trevor on my QB rankings on 4 verts. Oh, Bo Nix, let's just give him Drew Brees because he has Sean Payton, because that makes sense. Also, the Mac Jones comp makes no sense. Much stronger arm, much more fluid athlete. Their games aren't similar at all. Penix is probably the one I like the most. I mean, I could see him having a Jameis type of career where he's just kind of this gunslinger, more of a backup than a starter. Like, that could be the bad scenario. And then, I don't love the Herbert one. Like, to me, ceiling Herbert should be like Drake May. We heard that comp a lot coming out. Similar build, similar arm strength, similar, he's willing to throw into the tight windows. Penix does some of that. So if I had to pick one that I like the most, I guess I would say the Atlanta one. But we were just all over the map. And again, only Caleb could be the guy that busts. If last year is the worst Caleb ever is, I guess that's a bust from a number 1 pick scenario, but that's probably a guy who starts in the league for a while, even if it's not with the Bears. So I got to be honest. I just think this is really bad work. I'm not trying to be mean, but it's got me fired up, man. And I'm excited to see what Caleb can do. I think last year is probably as bad as it's going to be, and that was still like serviceable NFL QB play. So, man. Just had a loss of words, if I'm being honest. All right, we're going to sign off here. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to this episode of Chicago Bears Now. I'm not always right. I'm wrong all the time. But, man, I thought that was a little disrespectful. Hit that subscribe button. We got you covered on all things Bears. Giving you my opinions. Whether they're right or wrong, I'll keep firing these takes. All right. Colin, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you don't take drugs, kids. I mean, it's something, man. Here, I'm gonna pull up that photo back up.
And again, I'm not even saying it's gonna work. I'm just saying, like, we're already declaring that the best it could possibly be is current Jordan Love.
Listen, I think Jane Daniels is a phenomenal player. His floor being Kyler Murray.
Let's see one more season as a starter,
please. Again, Trevor Lawrence, that's a whole nother thing.
The May one might, in some way, the ceiling might be the worst one.
Dude, yeah, it's egregious.
Unless they're talking about only 2022 Trevor Lawrence, and even then, I'm like, that's the best you can get.
Listen, I still believe in Trevor Lawrence, like, to a certain level. That's disrespectful to Drake.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. Well, and that's my thing with Jordan, too. It's like, Jordan Love will probably still get better. He's only started 2 years. So for you to declare that Caleb's ceiling is current Jordan Love, it's crazy to me.
This just seems like a guy who just, maybe he's not the most popular guy in the office. Like, no one really talks to him. So he's just, like, put this out there maybe to get some interactions, maybe get some engagement a little bit. And because, again, like, you make the Herbert comp for May. Like, that's such an easy one. Like, you're almost like trying to be different.
The best one on here is, I think, the Jameis floor for Penix. I see that one a lot, right? Where, like, gunslinger mentality, maybe he's just not consistently accurate enough. Fringe starter, good backup for a good chunk of his career. I could see that being the case with Penix.
Yeah.
But any of the other ones, like
Bo Nix, he is literally a mobile,
he's nothing like Mac Jones. Nothing.
Or really like Drew Brees. And again, Drew Brees is a phenomenal Hall of Fame quarterback. But again, Bo Nix, that's not his playing style. Like, he's able to move. I mean, he's able to distribute, yes. But, like, he's kind of a bigger, stronger athlete than Drew is.
Bo Nix is almost like, I don't even know, like, I don't know.
Like that, like
if Bo Nix, like,
if Bo Nix
is his ceiling like a better Geno or something like that? Like, pretty big arm, good athlete.
I feel like he's more mobile than Geno, and I love Geno.
His straight line speed is faster for sure.
I feel like his floor should have been Daniel Jones for Bo Nix.
Yeah, that's a good one. Floor like Daniel Jones, ceiling like,
yeah,
I don't know. Ugh. Hey. This guy got us talking, so I guess he did his job.
I guess so.
PFF's probably happy with him. He probably got a lot. There's a lot of Twitter engagement going on right now. That's for sure.
Yeah. I'm gonna get
the Goff. It has to be said again. The Goff Young thing just makes no sense.
No.
It's like they were horrible.
Which, again, you didn't necessarily touch on it, but in Goff's defense, he did have Jeff Fisher, who was arguably one of the worst coaches in NFL history.
Oh, I get it. Yeah.
But again, to make like comparison, because Goff still had that terrible year, whereas Caleb, again, despite dysfunction, had a better year than Goff did under dysfunction.
Caleb was at least a functional starter last year.
Yes.
I remember watching Goff as a rookie, and it was like, this guy may never be able to play.
Never.
Just like Young. And I don't like to be the shit on Bryce Young guy, but I think he just was so bad at first that when he came back and played solid, people were like, whoa, he's arrived. And it's like, well, he went from the worst QB in the league to, okay, there's something to work with there. Let's see how it goes this year. I give him a lot of credit. He could have just asked out, wanted to trade, and he put his head down, got to work, and did some good things. But it's not even really about Goff and Young. But if you're gonna make a reference to how a guy who had a bad rookie year turned it around, it's like, wait a second, those guys. We're talking about different levels of rookie years. Not even in the ballpark. Just ridiculous. I'm with you, Wasim. Shout out to Wasim.
If you had to pick for Caleb, and again, try to be as unbiased as you can, floor and ceiling for Caleb.
Yeah, I think you can still be lofty with ceilings entering year 2. It's year 2, unless they were just so unbelievably bad as a rookie. I don't know. Is he poor man's Rodgers? Is that a ceiling?
Poor man's Mahomes.
Or just Rodgers?
And again, you don't want to put that on Mahomes. The archetype's similar to Mahomes.
That's what I'm more talking archetype, play style, effectiveness.
Yes.
I'm not talking about winning 3 Super Bowls in 5 years. I'm talking about could he be some version of that type of player? I think that's on the table. Or if you want to be more conservative, a better Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
A little less athletic, but bigger, can play better in the pocket.
Right.
But electric out of the pocket.
Right.
I think that's probably more middle is Kyler Murray. Not better Kyler Murray, just Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
That's if he becomes that, that'd be okay, he didn't bust, but he didn't reach his potential. He had a Kyler Murray type of career. And then floor, I would say, is I think I saw a floor, or I said this earlier in the show, ChatGPT actually came up with a pretty good answer. Baker before, the better versions of Baker in Cleveland, where he was inconsistent but still played some pretty good ball. I think Tampa Baker's reached a new level. Caleb is certainly not that. Now, he could be better than that, but he has not played like that yet. But is this floor inconsistent Baker? I just don't see how it gets worse than last year. And again, last year wasn't horrible.
Yeah.
Sperry and ChatGPT actually said this too. It was Zach Wilson. I'm he's already been better than Zach. He's better than Zach Wilson.
Right now he is.
He played better last year than Zach Wilson ever did. Now, did Zach Wilson maybe have an individual game here or there or a half? Sure. But over 7, he has not had a 17-game stretch to that level.
No, and again, maybe that's more archetype thing because again, Wilson
archetype for sure, big arm, maybe height's a tick lower than you would like. Can't figure it out. Yeah. But I think he figured more things out last year than Wilson ever did.
100%.
So I Caleb's a tough one because these archetypes are still pretty new. So when you're Mahomes, it's that's unrealistic. But from an archetype standpoint, there's similarities to him and Rodgers. So
yep.
It's a fun discussion. I just think saying current Jordan Love is the best he could possibly be, I think that's
current Jordan Love's middle of the pack NFL quarterback.
If he became second half of 2023 Jordan Love, just from statistical standpoint, okay, sure, but
we'll read this super chat first. I'm sick of the notion, that Caleb Williams' season was far off of these other quarterbacks on that list were very similar. Yeah, I mean, he played some Jaden Daniels was clearly the best rookie quarterback last year.
And I would say Nix was too.
Yeah. But again, it wasn't
I do think, though, if you flip Nix and Caleb,
the situations.
Yes. I think it's unfair to Jaden if you flip Jaden and Caleb, even if I think for sure Caleb would have been better. Would he have been as good as Jaden? That's hard to say. Mm-hmm. I mean, Jaden was unreal, but I do think Nix, if you flip him and Caleb, Caleb with Peyton is much better than Nick's with the Bears situation. Like I don't even think twice about that one.
No, I'd agree.
So, but I'll even concede Nick's had a better rookie year. Now, I would not take him over Caleb moving forward. I've not seen nearly enough to make that declaration. I like this one. I remember I did a video on this. I can't remember. Some analyst heading into the draft said that he thought Caleb would be like a better McNabb.
Yeah. McNabb was more of a stockier athlete, not as elusive as Caleb is. But
younger McNabb was pretty elusive. You think of that play, that famous play against the Cowboys where he's just and he throws like a 70-yard bomb. Is a conservative ceiling for Caleb like a more accurate McNabb? Because McNabb's a career 59, 60% completion guy. Like Caleb was 62.5 last year. You would think it's never going to be below that. So is he a more accurate McNabb, like good McNabb? Like is that the ceiling? Like if you told me he's a juiced up McNabb, that's a pretty good career.
Yeah.
I think two younger guys, I'm guessing this PFF guy is probably they struggle to like even look further back than like 3 or 4 years. Like none of the names on that list. I guess Breeze is the oldest one, and he was still playing 4 years ago.
Yep.
So
that's just one of those. It was bait. We took the bait. So credit to BFF.
It's late June, so I fell for it.
Yep.
I need some content. I'll admit it. All right. That was fun, though. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. It'll be fun to see how it plays out. I hope this is a great rivalry moving forward. I did a video last week. I think the rivalry's back, so that's exciting. I don't want to settle for current Jordan Love as the best case scenario, which, by the way, if he became current Jordan Love, given the Bears' history, that would still be a good outcome. It would be an average outcome, considering he was the number 1 pick in the grand scheme of things. Be a lot worse, but it could be better. And I think better is still on the table. All right, we are going to get out of here. Appreciate you guys. Have a fantastic weekend. We'll have content go out over the weekend. We'll be back in the studio on Monday for another live show. I guess we'll still go live. Monday's the start of NBA free agency, so it's possible that changes, but we'll have videos regardless. So take care, be safe, have a good weekend. Bear down.